Hey everyone, so happy to see you. Today we're going to talk about women entrepreneur and their special power and secrets for success. Welcome to Invincible Innovation Live. I'm so happy that you're here. I'm Mazor, Kario, innovation value creation expert, and I'll be your host. My guest is, yay, Merav Oren. So happy to see you.
Thank you
Merav
for
is
having me.
Yeah, I'm sure it's gonna be a pleasure. So Merav is a multidisciplinary serial entrepreneur and founder of WMN and co-founder of Act Food Tech. Hi Merav.
Hi.
We're live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook, and you're so invited to join the discussion and ask questions. Now we can start. Why is it so important to have women entrepreneurs?
Well, it's like, why is it so important to breathe? We are 50-50 in the population. And I think anything a man can do, a woman can do, maybe even better. But after saying all those cliches, really, let's talk about a bit about what it means to be a woman entrepreneur and why do we even need to ask the question? Okay. I think that's the part I would like to talk about, because today women entrepreneurs are, it depends who you ask. Someone will tell you 3 to 5% of the entrepreneurs, someone will say 9%, but no one will say more than 10. I'm talking about tech entrepreneurs
Yeah.
specifically, okay, startups, because entrepreneurs that have small businesses, we have more than that. Anyway, we're a very small portion of the entrepreneurs, and I think in order to have more of us, you need to have very successful women entrepreneurs as role models, because or else I will not have anything to look up to. So it's kind of like with the chicken and the egg. If we don't have enough entrepreneurs and don't have enough successful women entrepreneurs, the young girls that want to be entrepreneurs will not have anything to look at and get and learn from them.
Yeah. So do you think it's different if I'll be like my own business owner and if I'll be like in tech? The fact that I'm a tech entrepreneur is more important for our lives and our future, you think?
I don't know if the word is more important for our lives, but again, technology makes our life much better. We can see it even, let's take the COVID, okay? And let's take the COVID in Israel specifically, and the way tech, even the vaccine, the having all the population here get vaccinated, right? If we didn't have the technology that we have, that I get from my health service, a WhatsApp telling me you're invited in this day. They know how to reach everybody so quickly, everything, all the data they have. So that's like a small, tiny bit of the portion of what technology does for our lives. So there's no debate about why we need technology, right? So in order to have technology, we need startups. In order to have startups, we need entrepreneurs. In order to have startups with entrepreneurs, with women, yes, of course, I think it's much more important. And it's much more hard, because a startup is like a roller coaster. It's one day you're, in the air, you got money from investors. You're so happy. You think you conquered the world. And the day after that, you're way down there because you need to do a pivot, because the clients didn't buy, because you didn't, what do you call it?
Deliver?
Deliver, yeah, deadlines and so on. So it's
Sure.
crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think that, I'm mentoring lots of startups and I always say, like, it's our future, actually. Our lives are more in technology, in the virtual world, and less in the real world. And if we are women say, like, this is less for us, we are not into coding, that's not really what we're like people person, it's not for us. And so many things women tell themselves, or I need my time, I don't want to be like 24/7 in a startup, whatever. It's like taking yourself out of the equation of the future, actually. And I think it's so important that women understand that they are needed, their way of thinking is needed, their ideas are needed, the fact that they are thinking differently and thinking about different capabilities, different features, different way of like, what do we need in our world is so important. And therefore, I tell women, like when I talk to students, tech students, I always tell them, you need to understand that that's a path you need to consider.
And also,
And
I think it's such a wide band. I mean, you don't have to be a coder. Of course, yes, it's important to have women coders, but you can be a manager. You can be, there's so many roles in a startup. as an entrepreneur, I must say I don't know how to write a line of code, of course. Not of course, but I just don't know that. And I'm not a tech person, okay? I usually, my kids help me when I need the tech problems to be solved at home. But still, I think I'm a quite good entrepreneur. And it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to go together. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that women need to know that it's not only what you think. Like, not everyone is Mark Zuckerberg sitting in his like place, like coding something, starting with his own ideas. And what we think about entrepreneurs is, as you said, the role models we have there. We have Elon Musk, we have Jeff Bezos, we have Mark Zuckerberg. This is what we have in front of us. And it's like I'm trying to imagine what would be this women entrepreneurs standing in front of us. There was I am now remembering, there was a research asking people who is a very famous woman in tech, and that some of them said Siri. It's
No, you're
like,
serious. No, I don't
yeah,
have that. I
yeah,
didn't hear about that. Oh
that's
my
yeah,
goodness.
this is what they came up with because they didn't have anyone. Maybe Sheryl Sandberg. Okay, that's it. And just
I think
thinking
one of
about
the
this.
biggest problems for us as women to have more entrepreneurs is that we have hardly any role models, that if we have them, hardly anyone knows about them. In here in Israel, in our small ecosystem, we have, of course, role models. But again, everything is so small. I mean, we are so little women entrepreneurs in the tech area, and so little women investors in the tech area, and even smaller amount of women that are role models that have been, like just now, Einat Gez, that I think her company she's a unicorn now, and she's really an amazing entrepreneur.
Pioneer.
No, Pioneer, no, Papaya.
That's
Pioneer
another
is
women.
Yuval Tal and
Yeah.
other people.
My mistake.
No, it's okay. But anyway, if you ask just everybody in the newspapers who is Einat Gez, I think that most of the people will not know her name. So when I'm talking about a role model, like you're saying, right? Mark Zuckerberg, any child almost in the kindergarten will know who he is, right? I'm speaking of a role model that every girl in the kindergarten, in school, in elementary school, and later on in high school and so on can say, I want to be that. And not only I want to be that, I can be that woman. I can do it. There's no reason why not. I mean, it's something that should be so common. And, I founded WMN in 2015. And when I started WMN, it started because I was working in a co-work space, one of the first co-work spaces in Israel, a very successful one. It was like the home for all the ecosystem here in Israel. There were, it just started here in Tel Aviv. And I was working there, I think, 6 months. Looking around me, I saw hardly any women. Maybe 100 women altogether, members and so on, out of thousands that were there. And when people ask me, so why did you start WMN? I said, because when I was looking around me and didn't see any women, I said to myself, okay, so I want a place just like that will look like this. That looked just a bit like a men's club, but with all the sofas, and you only needed the cigar. But I want a place this kind, everything the same, the office hours, the meetups, everything the same. The only difference would be that you have to have at least one female as in your or the CEO or one of the founders. And this is how WMN started. And I think when people ask me at the beginning, so why are you doing it? It's not good to put the woman aside and in a ghetto.
Yeah,
I said, first of all, it is not a ghetto. It was a place of women and men, because as I said, you need to have at least one woman as a founder or a CEO. But in most of the startups, maybe unfortunately, but the woman is the CEO and the founder, and the guy, when they just start, I'm talking about very early seed, and the guy usually is the CTO. So when they started at WMN, they were very small startups, it was a man and a woman. So we were kind of 50-50. And I think this was what was so special about WMN. And we were really the first ones in the world to do something like that. And again, why do it? Not, okay, so we understand why it needed, but why I thought it's needed, or I think the thing is that every time I was speaking since then, I said, I hope that one day it will not be needed, that we will not be needed to have a Women's Day, International Women's Day, that we won't have to have conferences for women, and everything that help and empower people. I always also say that I don't like the word empower because it means that I need to be empowered, right? I'm
Yeah, I'm
like
weak.
you, him, whoever. Okay, we all need to help. We all need to be empowered, but we all need help. But
Yeah, I totally agree. It reminds me of like all these pictures of a IPO, going public, exits. It's always like three men happy on a sofa, more or less. You just reminded me the sofa. I think that most women, mainly with skirts, would not select a sofa to sit on, you know? And it's so
that's
manly just to
interesting. I
think.
never thought about that.
Yeah, yeah. I wouldn't say how it looks with the belly. I wouldn't select to do it.
Yeah.
So it's really manly. Once I had in Google, I'm one of the ecosystem of Google, and they have women tech makers, and we talked about what does it mean to have a hackathon, which is not manly hackathon, and they raised lots of like things that I never thought about, but like pizza. That like talking about pizza, and Jeff Bezos talks about like the two pizza for a day, and all of that. Most women would not select to go to sleep all night and eat pizza all day. They're like, we're not Ninja Turtles. It's not for us, right? So it's like the small things that make you more feel comfortable and more to feel that you're engaged and it's for you really.
Mhm. I
And
agree.
when you designed the place for the WMN, what did you think about for these like uh, men and women going there?
That they need to feel comfortable, that they need to feel at home. It was very mu'ar, very lighted,
And
um, very calm, not
mhm.
not mayim, and
Not intimidating,
not
very like
intimidating. Yeah,
soft and light,
yeah,
with
soft.
lots of lights. Yeah,
But
I
again,
totally understand.
when we did it, I didn't think about it. Now that you're asking me, I remember how it looked like. I mean, it wasn't even something I stopped to think about. It was just, it's just like I would design my house. This is what I would do.
Yeah,
And when I said men's club, it was really very brown, dark sofas, a lot of
leather
leather
sofa.
leather
Yeah,
sofas. That's why I said you just needed the cigar over there. It was beautiful, but it wasn't lighted. There was hardly any light over there.
yeah, I
Sunshine,
totally.
I mean. There were
So let's
lights.
we're talking about like all the things that are important in women's, but women, it's hard for every entrepreneurs, but what are the obstacles that women founders face?
Okay, so as you said, first, I really think it's hard to be an entrepreneur. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. Just being a woman is harder. And why is it hard to be an entrepreneur? Because a few reasons. First, you're alone all the time. Even if you have a team, an entrepreneur wakes up in the morning and says to himself, "This is what I'm going to do today," right? I have this is my mission, and we have to say it every day when it's, as I said, the roller coaster, even when it's fun, and even if it's really not fun. And to be a woman entrepreneur is harder for a few reasons. One, as I said, unfortunately, most of the women do not come from a home that will tell them, go be an entrepreneur, go believe in yourself, open a business, you can do it. Most of the houses, most of the families would say to their daughter, are you sure you want to do that? Why should you not go to something very, stable, that will be easy with the kids, go get married with the nice guy? I mean, the path that most of the parents will tell their children, and of course their daughters, would not be, go be an entrepreneur, go found a startup. And it starts in the kindergarten, right? In the education. And then when we grow up, okay, so let's say my family thought it was great, but now I have a husband. Again, I'm not talking about myself because I was happy enough to have a lot of support from my house, from my family, and from my husband, and from my kids and everything. But most of the women, unfortunately, are not. So usually, if the couple will have a fortune, money, the money will go to a business that the husband will open and not the woman. I'm talking about stuff that researchers say, okay, not I say. Um, and at the end of the day, there's the kids. When the kid is sick from the kindergarten, who will they call? daddy or mommy.
Yeah.
Again, not my private
Yeah.
feeling,
You know,
but
it reminds
most of
me.
them.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it reminds me two things. First, we need to add the limits that women place for themselves first. Like,
Agreed.
I don't want to do that. I cannot do that. I'm not sure I'm capable of doing that, which
Okay,
is
but why do you think you're not capable? Because when you were a child, nobody told you, listen, you can do this. One day you'll be this and this. This is your role model. Adi, look at her. You want to be like her? You can do it.
yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. And
So
second,
it's
it reminds me of a talk we had like 2 weeks ago. My oldest one is 17 and a half. So she's almost like next year going to the army in Israel. It's mandatory, you know. But I talked to my cousins, and they're like 20 something, starting their lives. And we had a talk, their mother, me, and them. It's like two kids after the army. And they're both girls, women, I would say. And we talked about what would they start learning, how would they start their career, what would be a good path just to start with. And they had lots of ideas, and they didn't really know, which is, I think, something is problematic with the educational system, going after so many years and not knowing anything about what you want to do and what you're capable, what makes you happy, what is like the right path for you. But other than that, I'm remembering that one of the, like, she talked, and my how do you call the one who's married to your husband of
never
like,
know.
she's
I
married
never
to,
know
I
that.
never know it in Hebrew, so no way.
Yeah.
Like, and she told them, their mother told them, you know, maybe it's too much, go to something which is comfortable. And then she said, like, when you have kids. And I said, no, 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 we're not gonna say that. I told them, you're 20 something, you're not going to say when you have kids. It could be like 15 years from now, and you're not going to take it into consideration. And she looked at me and said, like, she was very surprised because I was so like, no way, you're not going to talk about it. But actually, this talk is so important for young women. Yeah, it's
No,
important. You need to
on the
think
other hand,
about it.
speaking of the army, I think one of the sad things, my son just finished his course in the army. He's in cyber. Very, very successful group of people. 40 people in his course. We were in the ceremony of the end of the course of that cyber, whatever thing is. And there was one woman, 39 guys, one woman. And at the end of the course, at the end of in that ceremony, I went to her and I told her, listen, first of all, I'm so proud. I don't know you, but I'm so proud of you that you are here. And I really hope that one day, again, it will not be something special. And she said, listen, next year it's going to double. So I told her, okay, we're going to have 2 women. She said, yes. Now, listen, the good thing about it is it's really doubled, okay? And if it will double every year, at least in a few years, we'll get there. And I think the sad thing, that I understood, I really went back home and said to myself, I felt something that was really hard for me. And I understood that from these 39 guys they're going to be the best startups. The best startups, going to make a lot of money. And out of them, there's only one woman. So if you ask me where it starts, I said it starts in the kindergarten. But in the army, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Very hard to see it for me. And my son will be that one of those 39. Yeah, I'm very proud of him. But I'm talking about the potential of my daughter.
Yeah. I think that most people outside of Israel don't understand how the army is so important for the ecosystem. And many people get their educational, like they get 3 years of education actually in being very good in coding and in being just understanding tech into
it's a
the
lot more than
details.
education. It's education. It's team building. You know, when you're 3 years, they're going to be 6 years. Okay, together with these guys, you finish the army. What you do is you have your team to get your startup. We see it.
Yeah.
We see all the unicorns in Israel started in those army places.
Yeah. You know, I'm working with the startup right now, and one of them came from many years in the army, and he still talks about like army language when he talks. And sometimes I tell him, no, we're not saying 0600. This is not how we say like time. Which is so funny. Okay, so what needs to change? We're talking about like education and the way that we lead our small kids and small daughters forward. But more than that, what is really needed?
I think it's a lot. Okay, as you said, education start very, very, very early. Um, I think the fact that first in the government and everybody underneath that understand that it's something that is important, that it's important. Like your first question was, why is it really important to have more women entrepreneurs in tech? Now, I can tell you from WMN, WMN is a volunteer community. I'm volunteering in it like since 2015, so it's already 6 years. Nobody's getting paid for anything. And when we tried, we didn't try too hard, I must say, but when we did try to get funding for that, we understood two things. Once, nobody in philanthropy wants to give money to strong women, right? Because you're an entrepreneur, so you don't really need money. The money will go usually to, I don't know how to say, אוכלוסייה מוחלשת.
Yeah, for people that they believe
that really
need it more.
they're poor,
Yeah.
and then they're
Yeah.
underprivileged and so on. So
Underprivileged, yeah.
nobody thinks that philanthropy should go to women in tech. That's one. And on the other hand, in order to be to go to the marketing people, we are very small because there's very few of us, right? We are a community of 1,200 women. That's an enormous amount. That's like the largest community of women in tech in Israel. But it's no number if you think of marketing, right? You don't put sponsorship on 1,200 women. That's not worth your money, okay?
Yeah.
So it's very hard because people really don't understand that we really need backing in order to have more. I can tell you when we had the place in the Wix was the first company that gave us the place in the port of Tel Aviv. So when we had that place and someone backed us, you could really see the startups working from their 50% of the startups have raised money, are still there today, have gone really successful, and so on. And when you don't have that backing, and when everybody's volunteering, it's much more harder. Things take a lot more time, and it's hard to achieve your goals. So what I think is needed is first for people to understand that it's important to change to have the kids from the education from very, very young ages, and let them know that it's there. They should be entrepreneurs. They can do it. Have them believe in themselves, and so on. And as I said, role models. And something I didn't even talk about, but is very, very important. And I must say, I'm starting to be optimistic because I think there's a start of a change in it. Is have women investors. Because when I remember Orit Chashai from Brayola, she's one of the entrepreneurs, and when she went into a room and needed to talk about bras, and whoever was sitting in front of her were only men, they didn't understand what she was talking about. Okay, they made jokes about the bras and so on, but a lot of the times women go into a room with men, they would usually tell them to make the coffee. I don't believe that I'm saying it, but I hear about it all the time from women that I work with. That's why nobody told me that. I mean, when I went to a room, nobody told me, please make the coffee. But yes, you know what? I was in a meeting 2 days ago. Went to the meeting. We were 4 people in the room, 2 guys, 2 women. The guy looked at me and said, who are the nice girls here?
Girls,
yes. So I was looking, and he was 70 years old. I looked at him and I said, the nice girls? I was shocked. I didn't even know what to say. I was like, I'm a woman.
Yeah.
No, it's something very, very small, okay? And I think when people talk to me, they understand that I'm not a girl, that I'm a woman, and everything's fine. But it's little things that happen all the time. So if we had more women investors, so when a woman entrepreneur goes into a room and wishful thinking, okay, not 50%, 30% of the room would be women, and 70% of the women will be men, I'm sure it will be different, okay? The way that they will talk.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think like when you said people who want to invest money or even just to contribute, usually who owns the money? Who are these people that you are going to ask for money and fundraise from? I think I heard
belongs to men.
Yeah, so I heard the TED Talk, I think many years ago, and I don't remember the TED Talk that much, but I only remember one number. And she said, when you're taking all the wealth in the world, everything, real estate, everything in the world, how much of it is written, legally under a woman? 3%. It's 3%. And I was like, I never thought about it. All the cars in the world, all the castles in the world, all the private island in the world. Who is the legal owner? And I was like,
Wow.
wow. And just thinking that, this is a great power that, after all, who would they think about? Because they are who they are, not because they're egoistic, and because who they are is what they're thinking about, and they're thinking from a manly point of view, because this is who they are. I'm not going against, this is who they are, and they will probably want to be attached and engage in something which they relate to. And what would they be related to? Things that are manly things. I know,
Yeah.
things that goes through the mind of a man. And another thing that came to my mind when you said it, it's like, women are so good in finance, and we see it in Israel. Like all the banking, the managers of the big banks, many of them are women. And VCs, it's finance, right? It's risk and finance, more or less, right? That's what it is. And still, we don't see as much women as we see in the banks and the government and governmental states related to finance as we see in the VCs. And I don't understand it that much. Why? It's the same capability. Let's say that women are so good in finance. Why don't we see that in the VCs?
So I'll say, again, the good and the bad thing. The good thing is I think we're starting to see more of them. And it's not that there's not women in the VCs, you just don't see them as partners. And why? If you look one level down, you will see a lot of women. And again, why is it not in the partners? Because, the capital is not theirs. They're not friends from the army. They're not, it's the network.
Yeah, and they're not an entrepreneur. Started there and then made an exit, and then he was an angel, and then it's going.
The path is not a woman path, but it is getting. I think we're starting to see a change. There's a lot of when I started WMN, there were maybe, I think 20. I don't know even how to call them. 20 initiatives, okay, aimed to help women entrepreneurs. Today there are hundreds. There are a lot of, just this week, I think I was invited to 3 different events talking about women entrepreneurs in tech, okay? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Really crazy. What do you call it? Podcasts, TV, not TV, things like what you do. It's all over the place.
Yeah.
So in order to succeed, we need, first of all, to talk about it, to have people mudaut,
conscious, being
knowledge
conscious
of the situation, and have people work towards it, right? And today, I can say in the last 6 years, there's been a change. Okay, I don't know if anybody did a research now and can say that in percentage it's been changing something. And as I always say again, my daughter she'll turn 16. Hopefully, when she would be 25. Hopefully will be 20%, not even aiming to 50%. That will not be when I will be alive, unfortunately. But if I know that we're going there, it's something good.
Yeah. So what are the skills and capabilities you think women need to, other than the support from the outside themselves, what do they need to know?
That I must say is men and women the same for me. I mean, to be an entrepreneur, you need, first of all, to have passion. When I wake up in the morning, I want to have my eyes like this, and I want to eat the world, okay? I want to do something that will change the world, I want to enjoy what I'm doing. So I think we have to have passion. We have to have curiosity, because again, if I need to want to learn new things every time. I learn from everybody, from everyone, from my kids, from you, from really anyone. There's this woman that comes to me I'm her advisor. She comes to me once a week, and I was sitting with her last week, and she told me something. I told her, listen, each time you come here, I learn something from you. It's amazing, really. Now she comes to learn from me, right? I learn from her. I mean, if you're curious enough, that's why, you said I'm a multidisciplinary entrepreneur, because I really know a lot of things, and I like to connect between them, and it helps me start new stuff. So passion, um, סקרנות, curiosity, and learning how to know how to saying yes all the time, but learning how to לקבל לו,
to
learning
get to
how to
know.
fail, okay,
Yeah.
and to hear no.
Yeah.
What do I mean? I mean, when I it's really important for me to work with people that say yes before they say no. They don't explain me why they cannot do this, but they do say, listen, it's going to be hard, but let's try this way. Let's try this way. Not from the window. Let's go from the door. Not from the door. Let's go from the backyard, whatever. Let's try. Maybe it won't work, but let's try. Instead of people that say, it's not going to work. It's too hard. There's no way it's going to work. So the yes people are the entrepreneurs. But on the other hand, sometimes it really doesn't work, okay? Or sometimes we tried for the window, for the backyard, it doesn't work. So you need to understand, listen, that's not the right path. Let's think again. Maybe we need to go a different way. Or maybe this business is not going to happen. Don't fall in love with your businesses, okay, with your startup. So, but be a very positive person and be willing to hear no.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think that understanding how to handle uncertainty is so important. And I think it's related to the fact that being brave is something that we teach our boys. Be brave,
Right.
Be a brave person. And a man is a brave person. And he goes and he tries things and he risks himself and he fails and he goes and he doesn't give up, like Rocky or something like. And we don't have that for for our daughters, for our young.
We need to dare, and I think this is really something that we also should teach our daughters.
Yeah,
to dare and to believe in themselves, of course.
So when we think about the Israeli ecosystem, we could say like lots of things. What has been going on in the Israeli ecosystem that made so many entrepreneurs and so many successful startups, right? Could we imagine that there is something in the Israeli ecosystem that is in contrary to being a women entrepreneur, maybe being more traditional, maybe the way that we're
the book that Inbal Arieli wrote, Chutzpah.
Yeah.
Again, in order to be an entrepreneur, I think something you need is to be what we all Israelis have is chutzpah. Chutzpah is there's no English word for it. How do you explain chutzpah?
I would say that some people would call it rude, but we like it, and that's why we have this
smile, or it's rude with
we're not that rude. We're just trying things that are not exactly
daring. It's something in between. Anyway, I think guys are they have a lot more chutzpah than girls or men versus women, because again, as a woman, you're brought up to be very polite, very, the opposite from chutzpah. Okay.
Yeah, and think what people might say, what people might think about you, right?
Yeah.
And you don't feel.
And men have it a lot less.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I just interviewed people for a product position, and some of them were women, most of them were men, and just an intro email, and you see the answer. You see the answer, and a woman would say, I saw you on LinkedIn, and yeah, right, I would love to see you. And the men would say, okay, Monday at 7:00 is fine. Yeah, it's so obvious. So what is your number one tip for women? For young women starting their career in life, like 20-something, thinking, what would I start with?
What's my number one tip is to listen to your stomach, believe in yourself, and you can do it. Whatever it is, you can do it. There's no ceiling up there. Not a glass one, not a virtual one. Whatever you want to do, you can do. You'll make it. Believe in yourself, and everything will be okay.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's going to be easy.
No.
But you can do it.
Yeah.
You can even say it's going to be very hard. but you can do it.
Yeah. It's hard, but it's not bad. You
No, no,
can
I didn't say
handle
that.
it.
I'm just saying it's hard. It's not.
No,
It's
many
not
people
easy.
think,
Okay.
yeah, many people
Um,
think if it's hard, it's going to be really bad. No, it's going to be
ah,
hard, but it's not
hard is
really
a
bad.
hard work. Sport is hard, right?
Yeah.
Running a marathon is hard. I don't run a
Yeah.
marathon, but
No, me too.
I just understand that it is very hard. But it doesn't mean that it's bad. I think there are things we do because איך אומרים נחישות?
Grit.
אה, huh?
Grit.
Great.
There is a
Okay.
book called Grit, and it talks about that. Like, have the grit to go through something and be very persistent with it.
Yes. So I think these are the things you need in order to succeed. So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that it's going to be bad, but life is not easy.
Yeah.
Although in the social media, it looks like everybody's in
Yeah.
vacation every day and everything's so beautiful. And
Yeah. I
I'm
have a
sure people
friend who
think that my
just,
life are only one big honeymoon. Believe me, it's
yeah,
not.
it's not. Like I have a friend who just broke up from her boyfriend. And the first thing I told her, no Facebook for you. You shouldn't do it. No more. It's like something that we do. And all of us, we don't think about it that obvious about ourselves. When we place a picture, which is a really nice day on the beach, whatever, we're just thinking, yeah, it's a great picture. For us, we know it's not the total truth. But when we look at other people, their life is really only on the beach, for sure. It's like that's what they're
Yeah.
doing. Yeah. So what is the most surprising thing you learned after so many years as a serial entrepreneur?
The most surprising thing, I think, what I just said, that it's hard, that it really is hard. It's not, you would think that after all these years, it will be much easier, and it's not. Every time you start a new business, you have to work very hard. From the side, people would look at me and say, she knows everybody. She gives a call. They will open the door. They'll give her the money, whatever. So maybe it's easier to me today than to someone else that is just starting. But it's much harder than someone that's somewhere else, right? I mean, we're all the time, at least I am, up on the hill trying to get there. And maybe it's something in me, I don't know, but I don't remember myself standing on the hill and looking down, saying, wow, I'm so happy I can stay here. I will get to the hill.
Yeah.
There'll probably just be another hill over there, just
Yeah.
on top of it.
Yeah, I totally understand because it's like I'm currently reading a book of Tal Ben Shachar. He's talking about positive psychology, and he wrote a book about perfection, being a perfectionist. And this is exactly that, because you always want to get something which is more. And when you get there, you have the next step. It's like not like, yeah, I'm here, I'm so happy. No, it's like, what's the next thing that I need to accomplish, because I need to do it, and I need to do it. I'm a perfectionist. It needs to be like 200%, not less than that. And
I think
I
I'm
read
not, I
this
must
book.
say, I think I'm not a perfectionist, but still, I think the word accomplish is a very important word. I always want to accomplish something else.
Yeah.
I used to
read
have
this
my,
book.
what do you call it? The screensaver of my telephone used to say, hold your horses. My little child played with it a while ago, and he put these hearts on it. But I used to really look at it and say, okay, Merav, but breathe. You don't need to accomplish everything every day. You got this. You can, rest a bit, and then maybe start your new business. And I think the COVID-19 has taught all of us to be a lot more mellow and breathe more and so on. But we forget so quickly.
Yes, we do.
And I can say that I'm not working as hard as I was before the COVID today. But I cannot say that I'm as calm as I was in that year.
Yeah. I think that COVID taught us so much about ourselves. Like when we're out of the race, because the race is not there, not because we decided to go out at the race and everybody else is running, because nobody's in the race. It gives you a certain perspective that I think that we will see in the next 2, 3, 5, 10 years. I don't know, that things will change. Maybe some of them really fast, some of them will not change as fast. But the way that people perceive the world, the way they think about their spare time, the way they think about what is important for them, you cannot change it back. Like I always say, like when a woman is out of from the hospital with a small baby, the first thing it's like they get asked is like, are you back to yourself? Are you back to what you was? Like, yeah, you need to go
Yeah.
back to the genes and everything's like, you cannot go back, because this woman who was like without a kid is now, she's a different woman. And it's like, you can't ask that because it couldn't be done. So I think it's the same thing, like this transformation. Something is global, something is unpredictable and very, very vast, and you cannot relate to it as, okay, it's done. Now we're going back to business as usual.
Yeah.
It will never happen. Will never ever happen. Okay, Merav, I want to thank you it's been a pleasure talking to you. So thank you very
Thanks.
much.
Same here.
And
Thank you
I'm
for
sure
having me.
yeah, thank you. And I think we could have talked like 4 hours for sure. We should do it again. And I really hope that we'll not need these kind of talks for our daughters, and maybe for our grandkids, and we will not have to talk that much about it. But right now, I think we've done something important. So it's a beginning.
Yeah.
Thanks. And to all
Thank
of you
you.
change Thanks. And to all of you change makers out there, thank you for joining me. And if you want to learn more, you're so invited to invincibleinnovation.com to hear what I do. And I'll see you next week with another insightful talk. Bye bye.
Bye bye.